Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Teach United community call. I'm Heather Heapsch, the CEO and co-founder. I'm really glad you're joining us today, and I know some of you have registered for the recording, so you'll be watching this a bit later, but it's our last community call of 2025, and this is where we do all of our rapid updates on our programs, our finances, our strategy. So we have a lot of wonderful things to share in the next 20 or 30 minutes. And we would love for you to engage with the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're joining us from today. That would be really great. And if you have any questions, Aaliyah, our Senior Director of Programs and Impact, is there to answer your questions as well. So I am going to kick us off with a short story about really getting to the heart of why we do this work. So one of our coaches had just sent me a message recently that just kind of blew me away, and I thought it would be really good grounding for our morning together. And it said, today I received, this is from our coach, today I received an email from a cohort member, that's one of our teacher participants, and she's on medical leave and in the hospital. And she asked if she could attend a coaching call off camera because she didn't want to cancel, because that's how valuable these coaching calls were to her. And during that meeting from the hospital, the teacher talked about her dedication to her students, her class, her commitment, and her desire to share new strategies with other teachers because she was in one of our lead teacher cohorts. And I'm starting this off with that story today because that level of passion and dedication, it's not unusual after spending some time in our program, but it is the foundation of everything we do. And it's what really drives us and makes this program possible. Over the next 25 minutes or so, you're going to hear from several leaders in our Teach United community. One of our board members is here. Actually, a few of our board members are here, which is great. But you're going to get to hear his insight into why he feels so passionately about it, get some insight into the power of long-term coaching from our Africa team, hear from our Latin America team about how one teacher is improving the learning in her classroom and her entire school. So we're going to get to those really great updates, talk a little bit about strategy and finances, and share some of our excitement for kicking off 2026. So you'll see how these successes on the ground guide our global strategy. And that commitment that we see from dedicated teachers, it extends to every part of our organization, including our incredible board of directors. So I'm really thrilled that one of our board members is here to share a few words with us. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Diego.
Great. Can you hear me, Heather?
I can hear you. Thanks, Diego.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that story. I think often we get lost in all the big numbers and achievements, and we forget those individual stories. And that's something that I was thinking about. I'm sure everyone in this call can relate to a teacher. We all had teachers that influenced us in one way or another. I know that for me, the decision of what to study, where to work, even where to live, were influenced by certain teachers throughout my life. And I do believe that the impact that a single good teacher can have in the trajectory of a child is tremendous. And that is the reason I'm so passionate about Teach United and the work that we do. And I want to share 3 of the reasons that I really like, or that I believe make Teach United's work so impactful. The first one is that it's designed by teachers. The model is built and delivered by educators who understand the everyday reality and the challenges that teachers face. The second one is that it's delivered by local coaches, and coaches like the story that you just shared. There are coaches who understand the context, but also can provide personalized support over the full school year. The third one is all driven by impact. This is one of the things that I am most passionate about, that everything that happens in Teach United, all of the programs are based on evidence, and there's constant assessment and tracking to make sure that teachers and children are meeting the milestones that we expect them to do. It is really exciting to know that thousands of children have benefited from Teach United's work up to now, but it fills me with so much energy and passion to know how many more we are going to reach in the coming years, thanks to all this community. So I can't wait to hear more about the teams on the ground, who are the ones who are doing all the great work.
Thanks, Diego. It's really exciting to hear it from your perspective. And we're really grateful for your leadership. And I see that we have other board members on today. Scott Dooley in particular is right on my screen. So good morning to Scott as well. And actually, while we're here as the team and the slides are down, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge our really amazing global staff who are on the call today. So if you're on the Teach United team, if you could turn your cameras on and give a big wave. These are the amazing people who make the work happen every single day. So Teach United folks, go ahead and give a big wave. Yay, it's great to see you guys today. So thanks, team. We want to take you now into the communities of this team and the support and some of the work that we do. We're going to start with Africa, and this will be our Director of Africa Programs, Angela, and our Senior Implementation Manager, Jacqueline. We often say our key differentiator is that we don't do one-off workshops. We focus on those long-term one-on-one coaching, and that's because for us, but also the research, the magic is really in those long-term human-to-human partnerships. That's where the change in teacher practice really comes from. So to show you what that relationship looks like in practice, we're going to hear from Angela and Jacqueline with our Africa programs.
And thank you for joining me today to have this conversation about the transformation the teachers have experienced as a result of you working with them this year. That's very exciting. And I'm specifically looking forward to learning about a teacher you have worked with this year. What was their classroom like before you started working with them? What specific challenges were they facing?
Thank you very much, Angela. Yes, throughout the Kenya program, we worked with a number of teachers, but I'll talk about one, Lona Bwami, who is a teacher of English across various grade levels. One of the challenges that Lona faced at the beginning of the program was the fact that she was not able to engage all her students in her lesson. And so it was more of her being in charge of the lesson while the learners were just passive. And when I look at where she's come from, I attribute much of it to the passion that she developed and the kind of growth, mindset that she had because she wanted to make her students better. And so that has enabled her to be able to grow from the inception of the program.
Thank you, Jacqueline. The challenges you're describing are quite common among the teachers we work with, especially when we're talking about teacher-centered lessons, not engaging students. But I'm curious to learn more about how you began working with Teacher Lona. What does that one-on-one coaching partnership look like?
Okay, thank you. So the one-on-one coaching partnership in this aspect involved, first of all, getting to debunk what her understanding of engagement of students in class was. And then thanks to the topic of mindset. And after that, getting to give her the desired knowledge on how effectively can she engage her students in class. And that involved coming up with a lesson plan that would meet the needs of the learner. So having seen where she's coming from in terms of not being able to effectively engage the learners, and we sat down and had a series of plans where she was practicing on how to come up with a comprehensive lesson plan. And once this was fulfilled, then now we got into the class where she disseminated or, put the lesson plan into practice by ensuring that her students were engaged as per the plan. To some extent, also, we had modeling of the lessons where I would show her how different strategies are executed. Besides, as a team, also, there was a lot of peer teaching where they learned from one another, and this really helped cement the strategies that she had learned. And talking of a specific strategy, for example, is where they adopted the use of voice and choice for the learners. This really worked very well, not just for Lona, but also for the entire team, because they realized that actually they've been ignoring the involvement of their learners in the lessons. And so this enabled them to start having a different way of ensuring that their learners were not just passive, but active in class. Yes.
I really like when you mention about modeling the lessons, working with a teacher. That means you're working together as a team. And I'm really excited about the strategies you're mentioning that the teacher is putting in place. That means they're applying what you're working together with her about in her teaching and learning. But tell me about the journey you've worked with Teacher Lorna for the entire year, what changes are you beginning to see in her classroom? That is both for her as a teacher and for her students.
All right. So for Lorna, I've seen quite some changes. And I think, as I had mentioned earlier, her way of preparing the lessons have since really changed. She goes to the extent of really sitting down and having a real afterthought on how do I want to ensure that every one of my learners in class is actually fully engaged in the teaching and learning process. The other progress that I've also seen with Lorna is being able to ensure that at least her children come out of a lesson with one high order thinking skill. Initially, most of what she was doing were basically, characteristics that were not allowing learners to go beyond recall, memory, and all that. But having introduced the idea of higher order thinking skills, which she was eventually able to effectively incorporate in her learning, she realized that learning was now more impactful to the learners. The whole idea of learners not being able to remember what they had been taught, for instance, in the previous lesson, was now becoming a thing of the past. And that was really a plus for her. And besides that, also, she got to realize that in the past, I've been using a lot of energy, talking within 35 or so minutes, and the learners are just listening. And this brought about a turnaround in the way that she eventually empowered the learners to be able to be engaged in activities as she acts as a role of a facilitator. So that really helped her eliminate the kind of energy. There's so much energy that she was using in the lessons and kind of just spoon feeding the children. And she's seen now that she can actually act as a facilitator and allow the children to be able to learn without necessarily having to talk throughout the lesson. So there's been quite a lot of very commendable progress from Teacher Lorna, which I attribute to the fact that she's been able to effectively incorporate the strategies that we've been able to learn. The other strategy that has really worked for her, especially under data-driven instructions, is equipping her students with the knowledge and skill on how to not only take charge of their learning, but also be able to give her feedback on how the lesson was. So she was able to make use of what is called the reflection notes. So using these reflection notes, the learners gave their thoughts on what they think the lesson looked like, what probably did not work for them, what they'd want to see differently. And she coupled this with the traffic lights. That was really amazing, especially within the lower primary classes, where they're not so much into the writing of paragraphs, but they're able to kind of give their thoughts on how the lesson has been. Yeah.
That is such a powerful story. I'm very, very inspired. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for having this conversation with me, and have a nice day.
Great. Thank you, ladies. I actually had the pleasure of working with both Angela and Jacqueline just 2 weeks ago in Nairobi, Kenya. We were at the Global Schools Forum together. So it's great to see you all again. Their conversation is it's a really great example of how our coaches build those long-term partnerships with teachers. And I love hearing that over time, teachers like Lorna are making those deeper connections. Also that they're moving from the lecturing, which is how a lot of teachers were initially trained who teach, and they're moving from that lecturing into really centering their students. So thanks to Angela and Jacqueline for sharing those insights, and to your teachers for sharing their stories with us. We are now going to travel to Mexico to hear about how one teacher is working towards a really similar goal. And so I'm excited to share that with you as well.
Hola, soy Michael Webb, coordinador de entrenadores para TeachUNITED Latinoamérica. ¿Qué les parece si me permiten contarles la historia de éxito de la maestra Carolina? Cuando llegamos a la escuela rural, notamos una mentalidad fija. Sabíamos los retos eran grandes. Pocas herramientas, pero muchos sueños. Pero sobre todo, una comunidad con un enorme deseo de aprender.
Mi modelo de enseñanza, la manera como daba mis clases, siento que era un poquito dinámico. Te digo un poquito porque realmente sí utilizaba mi libro de texto, porque considero que es fundamental. Utilizaba materiales impresos. Había ciertas estrategias dinámicas dentro del aula.
Hoy ver cómo los maestros, y en especial la maestra Carolina y sus estudiantes, transformaron su mentalidad a una mentalidad de crecimiento gracias a las sesiones, podemos decir que nos llena de esperanza. Cuando la maestra Carolina nos contó cómo el programa le había cambiado la vida de una manera positiva y transformó su forma de enseñar, antes sentía que todo recaía sobre ella. Ahora sus clases son más participativas. Los estudiantes se involucran más, opinan en sus clases y, lo más importante, construyen su propio aprendizaje.
Sin embargo, a raíz o a partir del curso, he estado empleando, se ha visto más mi conocimiento o la práctica de este curso en las evaluaciones. Considero que la manera como he estado evaluando ha sido más diverso. Utilizo nuevas tecnologías, nuevas maneras de cómo evaluar que las que hemos visto durante el curso.
Aprendo más con los quizzes porque, digamos, allá como que te dan algunas opciones o algo así. En cambio, en los libros de texto, pues solo te dan texto y texto y texto. Y en cambio, en los quizzes, pues solo te recortan así para que tú lo puedas entender y responder las preguntas.
Y lo más bonito es ver cómo ella inspira a sus demás compañeros con su ejemplo. Al inicio, solo 4 maestros del programa han estado inscritos con nosotros, pero al final, los demás compañeros, a pesar de no estar en el programa, están aplicando nuevas estrategias en las aulas. En cada una de nuestras visitas hemos notado algo distinto. Los pasillos se sienten mucho más vivos. En las aulas, las clases se perciben con risas, con ideas. Los maestros nos comentan que ahora disfrutan mucho más enseñar y los estudiantes, por su parte, cada día quieren aprender más y más.
Realmente me ha hecho sentir un poquito más con más confianza, me siento como que más motivada para trabajar porque ya veo que el alumno participa, ya veo que el alumno comprende y si en dado caso no lo llegara a hacer, yo en casa tengo que prepararme, anticiparme a que la siguiente actividad sea como enganchar al alumno a ese conocimiento.
Porque, digamos, con todas las imágenes, los colores y todo, como que te alegra para que tú sigas avanzando con los quizzes y como en los libros de texto solo son colores no llamativos y como que te entristece un poquito al no avanzar con las siguientes preguntas.
Es así como nosotros vamos haciendo la diferencia y enfatizamos que el aprendizaje no es únicamente el que se da en el aula, sino el que transforma e impacta en la comunidad.
Al hacer uso de las tecnologías en las actividades, el alumno se motiva mucho en participar. Él al final, en sus presentaciones, ya no lo hacíamos de manera tanto oral, sino utilizamos otras herramientas para apoyarse durante la exposición. Y a ellos les gusta mucho una imagen a un alumno, le va a motivar, un video a un alumno le va a atraer, obviamente. Y buscamos mucho esa vinculación, esa manera de cómo diversificar nuestra forma de enseñar.
Cada uno de nuestros maestros que se atreve a cambiar inspira a otros a creer que sí es posible transformar la educación.
Incredible. Every time I see the work in the communities, I'm really reminded of how powerful it is when teachers feel more confident and empowered themselves to connect with their students in such a personalized way. So huge thanks to the Latin America team, many of whom are on the call today. Thank you guys for sharing. that story. And I wanted you to hear directly from the regional updates, because those powerful insights you just heard from our teams in Latin America and Africa, they're at the very heart of our mission. And it also shows really what's possible when dedicated teachers have the coaching and support they need to thrive. So it's that really deep community-based work that's the foundation of our scale and impact. But the strength and success of that coaching model have also opened up new avenues for long-term financial sustainability as well. And that's a key part of our strategy for 2026 and beyond. So some of you followed our presentations during events at UNGA, the UN General Assembly Week, and heard us talk a little bit about it there. So I'd also like to share a little bit more detail here. One of the things we consider to be a really exciting part about being a global organization is when you see the learnings from one region create opportunities in another. So for example, we've taken the experience partnering with Maya communities in Mexico. You just heard about that from our Latin America team, but we've taken the learnings from that program to expand our work with Indigenous communities in the US. And that's one of the things that we find so exciting, again, about having these global teams that collaborate. So that global network in action, sharing those borderless solutions. To give you a clear picture, I asked our Director of US Partnerships, Natalie Lundberg, to share a bit more about our programs in the US, how we're building financial sustainability, resilience, and give us an update on the work we're doing in those Indigenous communities. So I will pass over to Natalie now.
Thanks, Heather. I'm excited to share how that same mission is taking root and thriving here in the U.S. through our earned revenue partnerships. This strategy allows us to deliver high-impact programs for communities here in the States, while also building a more resilient and sustainable future for our entire global organization. For example, in Hawaii, we launched 3 new programs for fall 2025 focused on supporting educator growth and student success through personalized professional learning. We're currently working with 2 complexes to strengthen instruction for English learners and with a school on Oahu providing training for teachers on technology integration. Our programs at the complex level allow us to impact multiple schools within each complex, creating consistency across classrooms and building sustainable instructional capacity. These partnerships are helping align local efforts with statewide priorities around equity, access, and innovation. And as Heather mentioned, our work with Indigenous communities in New Mexico continues to grow. We have a fantastic partnership with Deep Charter School located in Navajo, New Mexico, focused on supporting early career educators through our new teacher coaching program. This initiative provides personalized coaching, professional learning communities, and culturally responsive training aligned with the New Mexico Indian Education Act and Indigenous Education Framework. By fully funding the pilot program, TeachUNITED is helping Deep Charter School build a sustainable model for teacher development that honors local culture while improving instructional quality and retention. Together, we're ensuring that every student, especially those in rural and Indigenous communities, has access to excellent teaching from day one. On a larger scale, our new partnership with the New Mexico Public Education Department allows us to design and deliver a statewide mentor teacher training program to strengthen support for early career educators. Through this initiative, we're helping mentor teachers build the skills and tools they'll need to guide new educators in the classroom and sustain quality instruction across districts. This partnership is such an exciting step for TeachUNITED because it expands our impact beyond individual schools, working directly with a state department to build capacity and create systems that will support teachers for years to come. Each of these partnerships represents a vote of confidence in our model and contributes to our organization's overall financial health, allowing us to be more resilient and sustainable for the long term.
Thanks, Natalie. We really wanted to share that momentum across program impact, scale, and now our financial models. And that's what we mean when we talk about being a field catalyst. So it's working in the communities, but also scaling the impact through partnerships. And because it's really important for us to maintain our strong teams and programs in Africa and Latin America, rather than just living donation to donation or grant to grant. So we're not just building reserves for emergencies. It's about having the stability to plan for the future. Because we know many of you on the call or registered for the recording, you are donors. So you can see in this chart that that philanthropic support is also the critical investment in the cycle that allows us to innovate and grow, which in turn helps us create earned revenue opportunities. So that process creates this virtual cycle where every single dollar is reinvested back into our mission and fueling more impact. So the stories in this strategic growth you've seen today are all powered by the people on this call. You are the Teach United community, and your belief in this work is what makes these transformations possible. So to share more about how you can deepen your partnership with us and be a part of what's next, I'm going to now hand it over to Amanda, our Senior Director of Strategy and Growth.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda. I just wanted to start by saying thank you. Everything you saw today is because of you. We call this a community call because we're all coming together fighting to address this global problem of education quality. So thank you for believing in the power of teachers to address this issue. Your partnership, your strategic advice, your belief in our mission, that's all what allows us to do this work. What you saw today, that's the foundation for what's coming next. So we have ambitious plans to deepen our impact for next year, and your support is what will bring that vision to life. We have a wait list. So, many teachers are excited, schools, partners, they want to be in this program, but we just don't have the funds to support them. So I'll share a little story about a teacher in Yucatan in one of the Mayan communities that we work in. That was participating in the program, but other teachers in the school were not. And they kept coming to him and asking him for advice, after every workshop. What did you learn? They wanted to learn from him. They saw he was more engaged, excited. He had new tools for the classroom. So these teachers really want to participate. They joined the wait list. We would love to really be able to bring this to more people. I also had a call yesterday with one of our foundation donors who was just gushing about the team on the ground that she had met, saying, their commitment to making sure this works for teachers, that no matter the obstacle, if it's flooding, if it's strikes, if it's internet connectivity, they are making sure that this program is implemented successfully and that each teacher succeeds. So we'd love to set up time to talk with you. That's my email address there, to share our plans for the future. And our year-end campaign kicks off today. We have a $50,000 matching donor, doubling your gift today through December 2nd, which is Giving Tuesday. So thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that you're on this journey with us.
Just echo that. Really final heartfelt thank you to everyone who joined us. And we know we have a lot more people who registered for the recording, so we appreciate you all as well. We really hope you leave today feeling inspired, connected to our teams, connected to the work. It's the people on this call, our community, that really make it all possible. So we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you for joining us for our last community call of 2025.